Well, believe it or not, we've almost reached the end of May. It's Friday, May 29th, and that means it's time for Cord Cutting Today. And if you're new here, this is where we take a look back at the biggest stories in cord cutting and streaming from the past week. And even though it was technically a short week because of Memorial Day, well, lots of stuff still happened. Today, we're going to take a look back at HBO Max's launch earlier this week, new features from Hulu, Disney Plus, and Quibi, and more. But first, if you're new to this channel and want to support our work, feel free to click that like and subscribe button down below. That goes a long way toward helping us to continue producing these weekly videos, as well as other content like our recent TiVo Stream 4K review or our look at ATSC 3.0. And of course, don't forget to check out our news website, cordcuttersnews.com. And as always, all the stories we'll talk about today will have links to those stories down in the video description down below. And with that out of the way, let's head on to the news. And we start with the latest addition to the streaming media wars. Yes, it's HBO Max, which launched this past Wednesday, and we've been covering the new service's content, features, future plans, and current limitations throughout the week. And if you haven't heard, this is HBO's newest streaming service that offers all of HBO's catalog in addition to new original content and a host of classic shows and movies. For new customers, it's $14.99 per month, and existing HBO and HBO Now subscribers get access at no added cost. And the service has lined up a long list of distribution partners and supported platforms. But not all platforms. A few notable options were not on the list when HBO Max launched on Wednesday, specifically Amazon's Fire TV lineup and Roku. Now, HBO says it's been in ongoing talks with both brands about bringing their app to the respective ecosystems, but deals couldn't be reached by launch, and as of the filming of this episode, deals still haven't been reached. And we've heard from representatives from both Roku and Amazon who say they're also eager to get a deal done, so hopefully this is more a matter of when and not if. In any case, HBO says apps for both Amazon and Roku platforms have been in development for some time, so once the various sides can come to agreement, those apps should appear almost immediately. And if you are a Roku or Fire TV user and you've been hoping for official HBO Max support, stay tuned. We'll continue tracking the story, and be sure to check out our news website, cordcuttersnews.com, for the very latest developments. And missing platform support isn't the only thing users have noticed since HBO Max launched. Despite hosting a wide selection of popular movies and shows, the app is currently limited to 1080p resolution at most, so no 4K HDR options just yet. Though we did reach out to Warner Media, and they replied to say that 4K HDR is on the roadmap for the future, but it obviously didn't make it in time for the service's launch. Of course, this may or may not be a bigger deal to you, depending on how you typically view your content, but for those of you out there who have used HBO Max so far, or for those of you considering it, how important is 4K HDR support to you? Is it a deal breaker? No issue at all? Let us know in the comments below. And we have links to our HBO Max coverage down below in the video description, including Jess's launch day preview, highlighting how profiles work, running through some of the available content hubs, and more. Speaking of missing features, Disney Plus announced this week that Simpsons fans can finally view classic episodes in their original aspect ratio instead of the widescreen 16:9 format that's inadvertently cropped out useful context and affected visual gags that just weren't as effective without the full picture. And if you're thinking that adding that option should have been a simple task, Disney also shared a blog post outlining the thought process and technical work that went into making this viewing option possible. It turns out that it's more complicated than simply uploading different versions of some 428 episodes. They could have done it where widescreen versions and original 4:3 aspect ratio versions were separate episodes in separate collections, like Season 1 16:9 over here, Season 1 in 4:3 over there. But that would have made it harder to implement things like the continue watching option or the autoplay feature that's so handy for binge watching. Now, we get into more details over in our post at Cord Cutters News, but what they've essentially done is use one file or a container for each episode that holds all the audio, subtitle, and other data that doesn't actually change regardless of which aspect ratio you choose, and just added a second video option in there. So even if you switch back and forth between different aspect ratios repeatedly, the app treats it as though you're watching the same file and just keep your progress tracked like normal. And Disney says this approach opens up options for the future. And while it hasn't shared exactly what those possibilities could entail, it's not hard to imagine future shows and movies offering users a chance to select between different aspect ratios, giving us a chance to relive classics in formats closer to their original presentation. Elsewhere, Hulu announced it's testing a new social feature it's calling Watch Party. Now, the idea here is to make it easier for users to watch content in a virtual, shared environment with other users. We've seen similar takes on the idea spring up more and more of late as we all try to find ways to stay connected with our friends and family during the ongoing coronavirus pandemic and the various stay-at-home efforts. For Hulu's version, users can share a link to invite others to join in their party. Right now, the watch party maxes out at 8 people, and they all must be subscribed to the no ads tier of Hulu. While you're in the party, you can interact with each other and react via a built-in chat function, and each participant can pause their own streams without interrupting anyone else's stream. So if you have to, say, get up and go to the bathroom, you can do that, hit pause, get up, return, and then hit the click to catch up button to get back into the party. Right now, Watch Party is still being tested, so not all users will be able to take part just yet. You'll know it's available to you if you see a Watch Party icon in the details section of a show or movie you want to check out. And yeah, you knew this was coming. If you do get a chance to try out a Watch Party soon, let us know what you think in the comments below. In other Hulu news, the company plans to drop support for some older Roku devices toward the end of June. This affects Roku streaming players with model numbers between 2400 to 3100 and streaming sticks with model numbers of 3420 or earlier. Users on those devices still have access to what the company calls the Classic app, but come June 24th, support for that app will go away. Now, if you're wondering how to find out what model of Roku device you have, it's pretty straightforward. On your device, just head to Settings, System, and then About. There, you should see exactly which model of Roku device you're using. And as someone who personally has had 3 or 4 devices, Roku devices, over the years, I'm curious how long you all typically hold on to your media streamers. For me, it's usually when my most used apps feel like they're loading or running too slowly or sluggishly. Or there's some killer feature that I have to have, like the first 4K HDR streamers that came out. What about you? What gets you to upgrade? I'm really curious to find out. Next up, AT&T has announced it's offering credits for subscribers to services like MLB Extra Innings and MLS Direct Kick. And future charges are also being postponed until the company hears more about future plans from Major League Baseball and Major League Soccer. Now, obviously, live sports have not been the same for much of this year due to the current pandemic, and in the past we've discussed the possibility of refunds, credits, or other concessions for subscribers to services who aren't getting access to the live sports they paid for. And so far, cable companies have mostly said they're waiting on sports leagues to make final decisions on suspended or delayed seasons before moving forward with any refunds, but this announcement by AT&T is perhaps the first big move in that direction. And we have more info in our post link down below, and we'll certainly keep an eye on this moving forward, and we'll let you know of any future refunds or announcements from other service providers as we learn more. Last but not least, Quibi is finally starting to add screencasting options to its mobile-focused service. To catch you all up, Quibi launched earlier this year with a mobile-only approach that's centered on short-form, quick bites of content. But the various stay-at-home measures meant that far, far fewer of us were going out and about, and the service's on-the-go appeal wasn't quite as attractive as originally intended. So one useful feature many had called for from the start was the ability to cast content from your mobile devices, like your smartphones, to your TVs, since many of us are spending more and more time at home anyway. Well, the service launched without the feature, but Quibi followed up to say it would add the option in a future update. And as of this week, that feature officially starts now. Apple users get AirPlay support via an app update this week, and the company added that Chromecast support should arrive at some point in June. This new feature should come in handy and possibly lead to broader appeal, but of course we'll have to wait and see on that front. So far, the Quibi app has been downloaded around 3.5 million times, with active user count reportedly sitting at around 1.3 million. And if you are one of those users, what do you think so far? Have you bought into Quibi's concept of short, snackable video? And will AirPlay support encourage you to consume more content in the future? As always, let us know below. And that was the week that was here at Cord Cutting Today. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you are new here, we'd love for you to hit that like and or subscribe buttons. Maybe even that bell icon. That one lets you know whenever we publish new content, whether that's how-to guides, reviews, or, news roundups just like this one. And I hope you had a safe and enjoyable month of May. We will see you all in June. My name is Philip Palermo. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.